Good morning. The last video that I did was for the protection of innocent men being framed by women and being charged with rape. The previous video tells what is not rape and where men become victims. This video is in the defense of women. This video will tell you what is rape and where women are victims of such assaults. Before I proceed further, let me tell you there is a sea change, a drastic change in the definition of rape as it is today and as it was before the 3rd of February 2013. Somebody please scroll this down. On 3rd of February 2013, an amendment came into effect and that has completely changed the definition of rape in the Indian Penal Code. Section 375 defines what is rape. Section 376 is the punishment clause for rape. We will first deal with section 375, and something tells me 3rd February 2013 is an ominous date for this, because I think the Nirbhaya case happened a little before 3rd February 2013 in the month of
December 16, 2012.
December 16th, 2012 is when Nirbhaya case happened. And what happened with that poor lady? Some of what happened with that lady, with the victim, was not within the ambit of the law of rape. Now it is. Section 375 now has subsections A, B, C, D, which clearly defines when a man is guilty of rape. Subsection A says that it is not just his reproductive organ with the reproductive organ of the victim. It is his reproductive organ used anywhere else on her body, such as her anus, her urethra, her mouth. This is comprehensively covered as rape now. Earlier it was not. Subsection B, all of this scroll you down individually so you read well and you come to terms with this. Women may not be aware that this is rape. Women may feel this is not rape, but today it is rape, and you can lodge a complaint and make sure that the culprit is prosecuted for rape. Subsection B says not just his reproductive organ, if he uses an object or any part of his body, yes, an object or any part of the body, and penetrates to any extent, what will scroll down here, that is rape. Subsection C further states if he manipulates any part of a woman's body in such a way so as to gain access to be able to penetrate, that is rape. That will scroll down now. And finally D, if he applies his mouth, let's presume he doesn't use his reproductive organ, he uses his mouth on certain parts of the body of the victim, that is also rape. This is an important video not just for women but also for law students everywhere, for lawyers everywhere, because not many people are aware that there is a comprehensive change in the definition of what is rape post 3rd February 2013. So these 4 elements come into play. I will now tell you 7 definitions of rape. In the sense, there are 7 descriptions, and if the sexual intercourse falls within those 7 descriptions, that shall also constitute rape. Without wasting time, let me get into the first one, the very first, and that will scroll down now. Against her will. This is very clear. Sexual intercourse happening against the will of the lady is rape. Number 2, secondly, without her consent. If this happens without her consent, this is also rape. There is a difference between against her will, without her consent. Without getting into the technicalities of this, suffice it to say that consent cannot be obtained by fraud, cannot be obtained by deception, cannot be obtained by undue influence. So consent is very clearly defined. So against her will, without her consent. Thirdly, with her consent, when her consent has been obtained by putting her in some fear, some bodily fear, some harm will come to her or to somebody that she is interested in. Let me read it exactly as it is. With her consent, when her consent has been obtained by putting her or any person in whom she is interested in fear of death or of hurt. Let me explain this lucidly. A woman gives her consent to sexual intercourse because the criminal tells her that I'll hurt your son otherwise. So she agrees. This is rape. So if you see, her consent has been obtained by making her afraid of bodily harm or hurt to herself or somebody close to her. Fourthly, with her consent, when the man knows that he is not her husband and that her consent is given because she believes that he is another man to whom she is or believes herself to be lawfully married. This will not make sense to a lot of urban citizens. It makes sense to rural citizens. There was a time in India, there still are places in India where a wife is not even sure who she is marrying because of the parda and ghungat rituals. So it is very possible that she consents to a sexual intercourse with somebody who just says, "I'm your husband," because she has not seen her husband's face. So I am thinking the fourth provision is to protect girls from somebody cheating them in such a manner. Fifth one is a very important one. I will read this out, and this is very, very important for young girls, college going girls, teenage girls, because this happens all the time, all over the world. With her consent, when at the time of giving such consent, by reason of unsoundness of mind or intoxication or the administration by him personally or through another, I'll make it simple. Somebody gives you a drug, too much to drink, some sort of a pill, and you're not able to decide what is right, what is wrong, you're not yourself, you have lost the power to think, you cannot reason anymore, and then he has sexual intercourse with you. Even if you agreed, even if you gave your consent, it is rape. I have read numerous instances, heard numerous instances where after a party, the lady gets up from the bed in the morning and she feels she has been raped. Why does she feel this? Even though she has been with friends and acquaintances, she feels she is raped because her consent was not given by her when she was in her senses. So if you got drunk because your boyfriend made you drink too much or gave you one of those drugs which makes you semi-conscious and then compromised you, then that is clearly rape. Number 6, with or without her consent, when she is under 18 years. For law students and lawyers, this is essential. This is called statutory rape. If she is below 18 years of age, she cannot give you consent. The law says she does not have the right to give you consent. So if you have had sexual intercourse with somebody who is 14 years of age, with her will, with her consent, even then it is rape. And for law students, note it down, this is what is called statutory rape. Seventhly, when she is unable to communicate consent. If, let's presume she is unable to talk. It's possible. So if she is unable to communicate clear consent, and then if you have sexual intercourse with her, it is deemed to be rape. There is an explanation. For the purposes of this section, vagina shall also include labia majora. There is explanation 2. Consent means an unequivocal voluntary agreement when the woman by words, gestures or any form of verbal or non-verbal communication communicates willingness. Consent is defined in explanation number 2. So as you see, I think India should be given credit for covering the offense of rape so comprehensively. I doubt if there are too many countries in the world that has such a clear definition of rape. This makes it very necessary for the protection of women, and even more, it makes it easier for our courts, for our judiciary, for the judicial machinery to come into full force and bring its full weight down upon the accused criminal. I will next tell you very quickly about section 376, which defines punishment for rape. Now here, what you need to understand is there are certain classes of people for whom the punishment is more severe. I am more interested in touching those people, such as a police officer. As I read section 376, there are too many provisions and I don't want to stretch this video beyond this anymore. I have covered what are the 4 different types of rape, and I have covered the 7 different descriptions in which an act becomes a rape. I now need to cover punishment for rape. This is a slightly lengthy video. I would not want to lose your attention on this. Therefore, I end this video here. Remember to subscribe to this channel. When I do the next video, you will get an alert. The next video is about section 376 of the Indian Penal Code, and that sets out punishment and while doing so, it also tells about certain categories of people who are punished harder for the offense of rape. I hope to see you soon. Thank you very much for watching me. I hope to continue doing this work and hope to bring you some relief and respite by helping you understand legal provisions. Thank you.